Okay, so we've seen how auto-scaling group works, but let's have a look at the different scaling strategy for your auto-scaling groups. So the first one is to do manual scaling, which is when we update the size of our auto-scaling group manually. And this is when, for example, we change the desired capacity from 1 to 2 or back from 2 to 1. Then we can define some scaling strategies such as dynamic scaling to respond to changing demand automatically. So we have different type of scaling policies within dynamic scaling. We have the simple and the step scaling, which is the idea is that whenever a CloudWatch alarm is triggered, for example, you say whenever the average CPU utilization of all my EC2 instance goes over 70% for 5 minutes, then add 2 units of capacity to my ASG. Or when another alarm, for example, say whenever the CPU utilization is less than 30% for 10 minutes, then remove 1 unit of capacity in my ASG. This would be simple or step scaling because we define the trigger and then we define how many units we add or remove. Then we have target tracking scaling, which is a very easy way of defining a scaling policy. The example is to say, hey, I want the average CPU utilization of all the EC2 instances in my ASG to stay at around 40% on average. And then the ASG will scale automatically to make sure that you stay around that target of 40%. And we have also schedule scaling. So this is when we know that changes are going to happen ahead of time. So we anticipate a scaling based on known users pattern. And for example, we're saying, hey, we know that on Friday at 5 p.m., people are going to do sports betting, maybe who knows, before the soccer game. And so please increase the minimum capacity to 10 EC2 instances in my ASG at 5 p.m. on Friday. This could be a scheduled scaling. And there's one last type of scaling that is definitely appearing at the exam, which is called predictive scaling. So this one uses machine learning to predict future traffic ahead of time. So there are some algorithms that will look at the past traffic patterns and it will forecast what will happen to traffic based on the past patterns. And so the idea is that it's called predictive because we predict what the load will be over time, and maybe the load is just on a daily basis, it peaks for 3 hours. So this is the kind of things that predictive scaling will pick up, okay? And it will automatically provision the right number of EC2 instances in advance to match that predicted period. So this is what the graphs you see on the right-hand side. This is very helpful when you have time-based patterns and you just want to have an easy, without any intervention type of scaling strategies that is powered by machine learning, then that would be predictive scaling. So that's it for this lecture. I hope you liked it and remember the strategies. I will see you in the next lecture.